Hey there underwater video enthusiasts, it's great to see you back here on the channel. I'm extremely excited to announce today a new underwater videography workshop that is gonna take us to the Maldives. Yes, you've heard me right. I'm taking you on one of my next underwater videography workshops to the beautiful Maldives. Now in this video today, I want to talk about this trip and tell you everything about it. I want to talk about why I picked the Maldives for this trip. I also want to talk about where we're going to be going and what is going to be sort of included in the trip, the program, and what we're going to be doing throughout the entire workshop / group trip. Now, first and foremost, let's talk about the dates. Now, this trip will take place from November 26th to December 7th, 2023, which is still this year. Why did I pick the Maldives for this underwater videography workshop? Well, simply because I think that the Maldives are the perfect playground for us as underwater videographers, filmmakers, underwater video enthusiasts, with its good climate, it's warm waters, it's clear visibility with a variety of different dive types that we'll be able to enjoy throughout the trip, ranging from very chilled out and easy coral dives or coral garden dives, all the way to drift dives and diving along impressive, great looking walls. Also, there is a variety of different things that we'll be able to see throughout the trip and on all these dive sites that we'll be visiting, ranging from small macro stuff all the way to your big schooling fish, to your variety of different sharks, to different varieties of rays, including manta rays, turtles, and possibly even some whale sharks. So if that is not a good reason to pick the Maldives as a place to do another underwater videography workshop, then I don't really know what is. When we look at where we're gonna be going inside the Maldives, then I'm incredibly happy to be able to tell you that we're not gonna be going to one location, one resort island, but we will be staying on a liveaboard. And this is something quite special because also for me, it's the first time that I'm hosting and holding an underwater videography workshop on a liveaboard. It is gonna be the beautiful, comfortable and very spacious MV Kiana, a liveaboard that has been operated in the Maldives for many years, respectively the crew and the operators that do operate the MV Kiana, they have been running liveaboard trips for more than 30 years in the Maldives. So these guys are extremely experienced and they know pretty much every single dive spot and they know exactly where we need to be at which time to be able to be in the water with the animals that we really want to see. So I'm really convinced that this is going to give us the best possible experience that we can get diving the Maldivian waters. The reason I picked a liveaboard rather than staying on a resort island is simply because I wanted to maximize our time that we can spend being in the water and looking at you footage and talking about underwater videography throughout that trip. On past underwater videography workshops, we realized that the logistical part of staying in a resort and everything that comes along with it was rather challenging at times, and we did waste quite a bit of time with small things, you know, like dinner and lunch times, getting to the dive sites and all that sort of stuff. So I'm hoping that being on a liveaboard, we can eliminate most of these factors because Everything is in one place. We don't have to walk to our rooms to get our stuff. We don't have to walk to a restaurant or go to a restaurant to have lunch or dinners. We don't waste any time getting to a dive site and then driving back to the dive shop, because this all happens while we are on the boat and while we're reviewing footage, talking about the next dive, so we can actually maximize the time that we have on that boat and in the Maldives on that trip. Also, you might have noticed that it is not a 1-week trip, but this time we have extended it a little bit to an 11-night trip, which is really an extended version of what the MV Kiana is offering as their regular trips. So this is really a tailor-made special trip just for our group. Reason being for extending this trip a little further, a little longer, is that again, I just wanted to give you some extra time to get into the whole topic of underwater videography, have plenty of time to spend in the Maldives, because like for myself, probably for most of you also, the Maldives is not just around the corner and it will take some time to get there, so it makes sense to just extend the time that we're going to be spending on the boat, learning about underwater videography, doing underwater videography, diving, having a good time together, to have that time extended a little bit so we can benefit a little more from that. And also, it's nice to have some extra time, obviously on a liveaboard and then in the Maldives diving these waters. The tour that we'll be doing is a Central Atolls tour, which covers some of the best diving spots of the Maldives. Now, normally such a tour will be covered in 7 days. We have 11 nights for the same tour, which means that we can take it a lot slower and that we can actually spend more than just one dive in each location, which is great for us because it gives us the opportunity to dive a spot, get familiar with it, and then on the second time when we dive that spot, we can then be more deliberate on what we really want to film and how we want to capture those shots, because we've seen the location beforehand already. So it's not that we're going to be doing a huge big tour, but we're going to be taking it nice and slow, and we're going to be having plenty of time in each of the locations that we go to, doing mostly more than just that one dive, giving us extra opportunities to film all these cool creatures that we want to film while we're in the Maldives. So looking at the program that's going to be happening throughout the trip, it is very similar to a regular underwater videography workshop. There's going to be presentations that I'll be holding either in the afternoon or at night times. There's also going to be some mini workshops where I'll talk about specific underwater videography topics and techniques. There's going to be some mini challenges where I'll talk about any of these topics or techniques, explain them to you, and then ask you to practice them in the following dives. You'll bring back your footage, we'll look at your footage, we'll discuss it, we'll talk about it, we'll see what you did well and what you could improve in the future. And this has proven to me in the past to be a very good way to help you improve your underwater videography skills much faster than just going through some theoretical things. On top of that, there's also obviously going to be plenty of time to just talk about underwater videography, underwater filmmaking throughout our time on that liveaboard. There's also going to be time to review footage that you've taken during the trip, give you tips and tricks and all the good stuff that is happening throughout such an underwater videography workshop. And not to forget, last but not least, it's obviously also about having a great time together on a liveaboard in one of the best places to dive in the world. So that has definitely not be forgotten. So what do you say? Keen on joining me for this trip? Well, have a look at the trip booklet, which I'll link down in the video description below. It will give you all the information about the trip that you need to know. It also has all the pricing and everything in there, so feel free to have a look there. And if you feel like you want to join me for this trip, well, then do please fill in the registration form, which is at the very back of the trip booklet, and send it to me to bookings@matthiaslebo.com. And please do it rather earlier than later, because we have already started selling the trip, and out of the 16 spots that are available, 4 of them have already been taken. So there's only 12 spots left. If you have any further questions, feel free to put them down in the comment section below. And if you want to see how such an underwater videography workshop runs and what is being done throughout such a workshop, you can check the video on this side here, which will give you also some client feedback from one of our last underwater videography workshops. Other than that, I'll wish you a fantastic week. Keep capturing your underwater adventures, and I will see you in the next one.